Hi, my name is Philip North, and I'm caught in an epic conflict between politics and the environment involving one of the most important ecosystems on the planet. When it comes to salmon, Bristol Bay in Alaska is the best of the last great places on Earth. But you may have heard that a Canadian mining company has been exploring to build the largest mine in North America at the headwaters of two of its most prolific salmon-producing rivers. To make matters worse, the primary metal to be mined is copper, which is highly toxic to salmon. I became involved in the Pebble project in 2005 when it was assigned to me by EPA managers. I was a one-person EPA office on the Kenai Peninsula, across Cook Inlet from the site of the copper deposit. I was not a manager or a decision maker, and am now retired from the EPA, but that has not stopped the Canadian Mining Company and their friends in Congress from fabricating a story of unethical collusion between me and others who oppose the mine. The outcome of this fight will influence the fate of Bristol Bay and its people. I had worked on most major mines in Alaska up to that time, so I knew a lot about mining, but this project was the biggest of its kind ever proposed in Alaska. I went to meeting after meeting after meeting with the mining company as they offered information and requested feedback about their plans. Meanwhile, I was collecting scientific information about Bristol Bay and copper sulfide mining. I learned that the headwaters of Bristol Bay are the foundation for the planet's richest commercial sockeye salmon fishery, a haven for sport anglers, and one of the last places where a salmon-based native culture exists. In the Atlantic, salmon are all but gone. It's the same in southern portions of the North Pacific. It was only in the rivers of Alaska that salmon were allowed to survive undiminished. And the best of all the Alaska rivers were and continue to be those of Bristol Bay. A conclusion emerged for me that seems self-evident now. A large metal sulfide mine in the headwaters of Bristol Bay puts the greatest sockeye salmon fishery on Earth at risk, and it goes further than that. An economy, an ecosystem, and a native culture are at risk. Now it was my job to convey that information to EPA managers, who would eventually be tasked with deciding what to do. I presented the information and recommended that EPA use the authority provided by Congress in the Clean Water Act to say no to this type of mining among those rivers. First, the managers at EPA were non-committal. The turning point came when a group of 6 Alaska Native tribes submitted a letter asking that the agency use its congressionally mandated authority to stop metal sulfide mining in the Bristol Bay watershed, which is what I was also recommending. The Canadian Mining Company accused me of helping to write this letter. That accusation is a key part of a lawsuit it has brought against EPA. I have to say for the record that neither the idea of the letter nor the letter originated with me. The author asked me to take a look at a draft, which I did as I considered it my duty as a public servant to provide feedback, just as I had done with the mining company. Except that in contrast to the extensive feedback I gave to the mining company, I made only minor suggestions to the tribes. Then I told EPA managers the letter was coming. In April of 2013, I left the agency and embarked on a long-planned trip with my family. While we were out of the country, EPA took the first steps to halt the mine. The mining company concocted a theory of illegal conspiracy with me at its center. It would have been laughable had they not tracked me down in Australia to subpoena me as a witness in their case, which then allowed the Republican-led Congress to subpoena me also. On the advice of friends, I retained a law firm and am fighting back. But I could sure use some help. So I am reaching out to friends and supporters for financial contributions to defray legal costs and to help PEER continue to help public servants like me to ensure the Clean Water Act works as intended, to protect one of our planet's greatest natural resources. I also want to say thank you to those who have expressed support to me, to those who care about this issue, and those who have put their time and energy into working to protect Bristol Bay. I may have retired, but the fight for Bristol Bay goes on. Thank you.